Okay, live stream is on. Good morning, I'm Councillor Philip Davis, Chair of Licensing Survey. I'll be chairing this hearing today. And if before we start, we could all mute microphones for the moment in order to improve the sound quality while I talk about procedure. And if you could keep your cameras off other than the committee members, that'll help with reducing bandwidth as well. Committee members normally keep the cameras switched on throughout the hearing unless there are technical issues. And again, we'll have our mobile phones on silent, etc., to make sure there are no distractions. Obviously, it's important that those attending the meeting and making representations are able to hear me and members of the subcommittee and officers. And any distractions disrupting the meeting could result in the meeting being suspended temporarily or to another date and time under the regulations for these types of meetings. So I also confirm this is a public meeting and is therefore being live streamed on the City Council website so the general public can view it. The formal agenda is as follows. Notice of recording webcast. I advise the meeting to note the meeting will be webcast for live or subsequent broadcast by the Council's meeting YouTube site, and that members of the press and public may record and take photographs, except where there are confidential or exempt items. 2, declarations of interest. Members are reminded they must declare all relevant pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests arising from any business to be discussed at this meeting. If a disclosable pecuniary interest is declared, a member must not speak or take part in that agenda item. Any declarations will be recorded in the minutes of the meeting. Apologies and notification from nominee members. There were no apologies. And so can I welcome you again to this hearing of an application for expedited review in respect of the licence for Oasis Lounge, 30 to 31 Lower Tower Street, Birmingham, B19 3NH. As I said, I am Councillor Philip Davis, chairing Subcommittee A. With me are 2 other members of the subcommittee, Councillor Diane Donaldson and Councillor Mary Locke. Also present in the meeting are the following officers: Mr. David Kennedy, Ms. Louise Nisbet, Ms. Joanna Swampillai, and we're joined by other parties, particularly the applicant, West Midlands Police. We understand that the licence holder is not attending today, but we have received a statement from the licence holder, which we're fully aware of, and the panel will obviously take into consideration. Those making representations then, can I confirm that West Midlands Police are here? Mr. Taj?
Good morning, Chair. Karan Taj, West Midlands Police Licensing here.
Thank you. And Mr. Swallow?
Yes, sir. Mark Swallow also present.
Okay. Thank you very much. And as we've confirmed, we don't have Mr. Daniel Ottomiri, who is the licence holder, or a representative here today. Okay, so this is really addressed to West Midlands Police. Is there any part of your representations you wish to withdraw at this stage of the hearing?
No, Chair.
Thank you. And again, I'll assume all parties have read and understood the Licensing Committee procedural rules sent out with the notice of today's meeting. I may at my discretion amend the procedural rules to reflect the fact this meeting is taking place online, but no such amendments will impact on the party's right to a fair hearing. I think, as everybody here is familiar with, we use a chat function as a sort of backup in this process, in the online process. And if you have any difficulties in terms of communication, please signify in the chat. We're going to use the chat function now in the normal way to record our attendance at the meeting. So if you could all type in your names, that will be noted on the record. So I'm about to do that now. If it's done. Slight delay here, I'm afraid, for me. There we are. Almost there. Okay, thank you very much for that. We can now move on. Everybody's confirmed they have access to the chat function, and we keep the chat function open for the duration of the meeting. As I said, to aid communication. I don't think anybody's dialed in on audio telephone today, so we don't have that additional complication. With the exception of subcommittee members, please keep your camera off unless you're a person speaking. If there are problems with bandwidth, as indicated, I may ask everybody to turn their cameras off to assist the technical processes. Okay, we're on to preliminary points now. So again, this would be addressed to West Midlands Police. Do you have any procedural or preliminary points you want to raise at this stage?
No, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. And the procedure, as you know, is firstly we ask the licensing officer, Mr. David Kennedy, to present his report. Then West Midlands Police will be asked to present their case, and we normally set aside about 20 minutes for them. Again, there's no license holder here today, so there will be no presentation from the license holder. Though if they turn up late, we can consider that. Okay. And again, if all parties can speak slowly and clearly, assist the officers in taking minutes and also the live stream process. If you could mute your own microphone when it's your turn to speak, that will avoid background interference and assist communication. Members of the subcommittee will be able to ask questions at any stage, but we'll try to do so at the conclusion of each presentation. Cross-examination by the applicant and those making representations is not normally permitted unless members consider it appropriate. Questions can be raised, queries in the normal course of communication, indicating verbally as necessary. The chat is a backup. If there's a particular communications issue, please use the chat to indicate that and the officers will alert me. Okay, we may find it necessary for the subcommittee to take legal advice. At my discretion, I may ask all parties to wait in this meeting while members and the relevant officers withdraw to take legal advice using a separate meeting within Microsoft Teams. We'll then return to the meeting and continue. And if at any time the live stream is interrupted, then we'll pause the meeting until the live stream can be resumed and we can recommence the meeting. If the meeting goes in private session, the meeting manager will pause the live stream. Once the private part of the meeting is over, I'll ask the meeting manager to confirm that the live stream has resumed before we continue. And then at the conclusion of the hearing, I'll invite parties, the party in this case, West Midlands Police, to make a closing submission. Of course, no decision will be taken by the panel until all evidence has been heard. At the decision-making stage, the members of the relevant officers will withdraw from the meeting in order to determine the decision. We'll go into separate Microsoft Teams meeting. If we need to clarify any points, then we'll telephone the relevant party. The members will make their decision. The decision will be notified within the statutory time limits. Okay, that's the procedural and running order points. So with that, I'll ask the licensing officer, Mr. David Kennedy, to speak to the panel. Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you, Chairman. West Midlands Police have applied for an expedited review of the premises licence in respect of Oasis Lounge, 30 to 31 Lower Tower Street, Birmingham, B19 3NH. The application has been made under Section 53A of the Licensing Act 2003 as amended and has been accompanied by a certificate signed by a senior member of the force stating that, in their opinion, the licensed premises have been associated with serious crime. Copies of the application and certificate are published as Appendices A and B. In accordance with the regulations, the licensing authority has given the premises licence holder and responsible authorities a copy of the application for review and a copy of the certificate. This meeting has been arranged in order to consider whether it is necessary to take any interim steps in respect of the licence pending the determination of the review. A copy of the current premises licence is published at Appendix C. The licence holder has submitted an email statement which has been forwarded to members and published on the Birmingham City Council website as part of the agenda papers. The interim steps that must be considered at the hearing are modification of the conditions of the premises licence, exclusion of the sale of alcohol by retail from the scope of the licence, removal of the designated premises supervisor, and/or suspension of the licence. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. So now we go on to the applicants, West Midlands Police, Mr. Taj.
Thank you, Chair, Councillors. On Saturday, 7th of May 2022, the Oasis Lounge was open for business and carrying out lifestyle activities. The premises themselves have stated alcohol was served until 3 AM, whilst regular entertainment went on until 3:45 AM, this being 45 minutes beyond their permitted lifestyle hours. This was a promoted event, and as part of the premises license conditions, the premises must notify West Midlands Police a minimum of 28 days with risk assessment and security assessment. West Midlands Police were not aware of this event until the night of the incidents occurring. At approximately 2:31 in the morning on Saturday the 7th, a call was made to West Midlands Police by a female reporting her friend had been raped in a car nearby. The caller and victim had both been at the premises that evening and were still present at the time of the call. The offence had been reported to the venue's door team and management, who have been described as unhelpful in assisting the friend or the victim. The friend made the first call at 2:31 and a further follow-up call to police 20 minutes later. During a visit from licensing officers on May 10th to ascertain further details into what has happened, the premises have stated that they called the police as a result of being alerted of the rape. But police logs show no call came from the premises regarding this incident. It was in fact just the friend of the victim that made the call. The premises have also stated they did not offer any care to the victim, although they do have a safe space for customers in the security office should this be required. Upon police officers arriving at the premises in response to the friend of the victim's call on May 7th at 2:31, door staff stated they may be able to identify the offender as they record who the victim had re-entered the nightclub with. Upon review of CCTV by officers at the time, the man identified did not match the suspect captured on CCTV. This offence has been crimed as a rape, and as of yet, the suspect has not been identified. The premises have a premises license condition that an ID scanner must be in operation as part of their entry policy. If customers are not scanned, they are to not enter the club. They are not to enter the premises. During the visit from licensing officers on May 10th, the premises disclosed they did not use the ID scanner. The reason being was that there was no plug sockets available for where they could plug in the ID scanner. Therefore, they opted against its use. This means all in attendance that night had not been subject to the entry conditions. Had they been, the potential offender could have been identified. As mentioned, this has been crimed as a rape, which is so severe it can carry a maximum custodial sentence of life in prison. Additionally, later on May 7th, at approximately 3 minutes past 4 in the morning, West Midlands Ambulance made a call to the police stating a male had been stabbed to the chest. The call to the ambulance services had come from another attendee of the premises who witnessed the horrific events of the stabbing as they unfolded. So distressed by what they had seen, they were unable to continue the phone call and handed the phone to another person to continue assisting the operator. The ambulance services reported at 4:05 a fight in progress outside the premises. At 4:07, the assessment of the incident occurring was deemed so dangerous that West Midlands Police declared the matter a firearms incident due to bladed weapons being present and the discovery of another stab victim who had been stabbed 4 times in the back. These 2 offences have been crimed as Section 18 assaults, which is the attempt to wound another person, inflicting grievous bodily harm, and can carry the maximum sentence of life in prison. The 3 offences that have occurred are so severe and dangerous that they all can carry a maximum custodial sentence of life in prison. The only offence more serious than those that occurred at this one event in one night at the premises is murder. During the visit by licensing officers on May 10th, the premises incident log was viewed, by officers and discovered another incident took place on May 8th at 3:40 in the morning. This is the following day from what's already been disclosed. The incident was noted in the premises incident log and stated a victim had been glassed. The victim received first aid by the premises, who stated the injuries were received when the victim had raised his arm to protect his face from the object striking him. This is another offence that the premises failed to notify West Midlands Police or the ambulance. This has now been crimed as a Section 18 assault, which again is the intent to wound another person, inflicting grievous bodily harm, the third in the premises in 24 hours. I myself have not been able to view the CCTV at this time, but another officer dealing directly with offences from Saturday 7th of May, has. They state the CCTV shows the incident began from within the premises, involving customers in attendance for the promoted event. There are concerns with the premises' recollection of the stabbing incident that they shared on May 10th during the visit from licensed officers. The premises stated they were unaware of any of the people involved, and the actual incident took place around the corner away from the premises. They also mentioned no instances apart from the rape that was mentioned occurred that night, and therefore have no log of the incident regarding the stabbing in their incident log. Serious crime is defined by reference to Section 18 of the RIPA Act, an offence for which an adult could reasonably be expected to be sentenced to imprisonment for a period of 3 years or more. As stated, all these offences could carry a sentence of 3 years or more. West Midlands Police are deeply concerned regarding the management failings of this premises and believe that they have directly contributed to these serious assaults occurring. It is for that matter that West Midlands Police believe the interim steps that should come as a result of this hearing should be the removal of DPS and the suspension of the licence. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hodge. Did you want to bring in Mr. Swallow next? Mr. Swallow?
Is it all right?
Okay, that's your presentation then. So we'll go to questions from members. Councillor Donaldson, do you have any questions?
No, Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Locke.
No, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. So your suggestion is that the appropriate penalty, Mr. Taj, will be removal of the license. Obviously, there'd be we're an expedited review. There'd be a further hearing, and suspend the DPS as immediate actions. That's what you're asking of the panel.
Yes, Chair. We've considered all the options, and we feel that what's been stated is the most appropriate action.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Okay, now as we know, we don't have any representative from the licence holder. We've had their statement. I think that's still the position, that we don't have anybody else here attending to represent them. Let me just check the attendance, but I'm pretty sure that is the case. Yes. Okay. Just try to pull the screen back up. There we are.
Chair.
Yes.
Chair. David Kennedy's got his hand up.
Yeah,
Oh,
Chair,
right. Okay. Yeah.
just to confirm, the licence holders or the representative haven't attended this morning's meeting. However, if they are aggrieved by the decision made by the committee today, they will have the opportunity to make representations back to the licensing subcommittee, and we would have to reconvene within 48 hours of receiving such representations. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. That's very helpful. Okay, so I think we're now on to closing submissions in the absence of the licence holder today. So I'll go back to West Midlands Police. Mr. Taj, do you want to just summarise your position?
Thank you, Chair. I feel I addressed all the points in my original representation, but just to reiterate, West Midlands Police do believe that there was a number of licensing breaches at the premises, management failings, which could have subsequently avoided these incidences. And as mentioned, we believe the appropriate interim steps would be the DPS removal and suspension of the license to prevent any more serious crime occurring at the premises.
Okay, and that's your submission. Thank you.
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. So thank you for that. So I'll now ask all parties to leave the MS Teams meeting, and the members, the committee lawyers and the committee manager will go into private session while the subcommittee makes its decision. You'll be notified of the decision of the subcommittee before the end of the statutory time limit. Thank you very much, Mr. Tyler, Mr. Swallow, for your presentations today and for everybody who's participated. We'll now adjourn and go into the private session. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you.